Hey, what's going on, you guys? Twan here. Now, the thing is that this video is to help you guys decide what you want to do with me. Now, here's the thing. To make guys read muscle magazines, to make guys read into the information where you see all these guys getting results, but the thing is that they're not natural drug-free individuals. So the thing is that if you're going to train, first off, if you're going to train with me, you're going to train drug-free. No steroids, no GH, none of that. If you're not, then my program's worthless right off the bat. Second, guys want everything at the same time. That's not possible. If that was possible, I would not be in an off season trying to gain muscle and then go into a pre-contest cutting diet, to get ready for a contest. If I can gain muscle and lose fat at the same time, why would I even need an off season? Theoretically, if I can gain muscle and lose fat at the same time, I could just put on 2 to 3 pounds of muscle, keep my body fat exactly the same, and then go into the next competition. So right now, you guys better understand that there are certain factors that you need to comprehend before picking whether you need to either lose body fat or gain muscle. So here are some of the factors that I consider, and I make all my guys who compete consider. Okay, first, what is your current body fat percentage? This is big. I'm gonna go back to this later on because this, after you see the slides, you'll understand why that's such a huge factor. The second factor, what was the leanest I have ever been? If you have never had six-pack abs, like a ripped core, and you have never been shredded, what makes you think that it's going to be even easier after you try to go on a bulk program where you're gaining muscle and fat? So you already had too much fat to begin with. You add a little bit more fat, and now all of a sudden you think you're going to magically lose all this fat with this excess fat when you've never successfully done a cutting program where you were able to see your abs or you were under 6% body fat. Okay. So I'll see which one should I start first with, and on top of that, again, reasons you cannot build muscle and lose fat at the same time. You're going to be, when you're bulking, you're on a caloric surplus. You're eating more than what your body can handle, and you're hoping that the resistance training and your pattern creates an anabolic effect where you generate a lot of muscle mass and minimal fat gain. Vice versa, when you are trying to lose fat, you are on a caloric deficit, meaning you are eating less than what your body needs. Your training is geared towards maximizing fat burn, but because you're in a very catabolic state, you will lose a little bit of muscle. That's just how it goes. And then the last thing is, what is my somatotype? A lot of you guys don't understand what your body type is. Obviously, I will send you videos on that and information about that. But understanding your somatotype will give you understanding of your precursor. And here's the thing. No one is one pure somatotype, endo, meso, ecto. Most individuals, the average individual, is actually a little bit of all three. There's only extreme cases where you might have a very strong characteristics in one of the three. Okay, so now I'm going to go through my slides real quick. As you can see, first, these are my before and after clients and their stats. This is Matt. All these guys there I'm going to showcase to you are guys that compete for me. I train them to compete in natural, drug-free bodybuilding competitions. These are realistic goals. These are realistic results that they can achieve, and this gives you an idea of what you can achieve. As you can see, Matt is 5'10". He is 31 years of age. Now, as you can see, this is his before picture. He is 210 pounds at 14% body fat. He has 29.4 pounds of body fat on him. He has a decent amount of muscle, though. He has 180.6 pounds of lean body mass and muscle mass. But look at that before picture and look at his after. When he was finished, he dropped down to 172 at around 2 to 3% body fat. Usually I get all my guys around 2 to 3% body fat before they compete. He's averaging about 4 pounds of body fat. Henceforth, he's carrying 168 pounds of lean body mass. And as you can see, again, we maximize fat loss. He lost over 25 pounds of fat, but in that process he did sacrifice some muscle. He sacrificed about 12 pounds of lean body mass to get down to competition. And I want you to look at the visual effect. If you had these two guys side by side, you would think that the after Matt was much bigger than the before Matt because of the level of definition, the size of his legs, and the definitions of his shoulders, and his arms look a lot bigger. You visually look bigger when you have less body fat. You do not need to be that big to, you know, look like you have a lot of muscle mass. And I'll continue. Okay. Here's Mike. Mike is also another one of my clients. As you can see, he's 5'10" as well, 31 years of age. When he started with me, he was around 195 at 10% body fat. So even on his frame, his body fat's not that bad at all. 10% is actually very low. But as you can see, he carries 19.5 pounds of fat. Henceforth, he only has 175.5 pounds of lean body mass. And you can see, you know, he's not super ripped. He's lean, but he's not super ripped. In his after picture, I got him down to 170, again at 2 to 3% body fat. He was roughly carrying 4 pounds of fat, and his lean body mass, again, was around 166 pounds. Again, as you can see, he lost a tremendous amount of body fat. He lost over 15 pounds of body fat. But again, getting ready for a competition, it's tough not to lose some of that muscle. And but as you can see, again, look at the visual difference. Look at how before looks. Look at the after. I would promise you that a lot of people thought Mike was actually getting bigger when he was getting cut, because again, the definition in your muscle will make you look visually bigger. It's all about perception sometimes. All right, now the next guy, Tyron, 5'7", 35, so he's a little bit older. As you can see, when he started with me, not as heavy as my other guys, he started with me at 181 at 12%, meaning 21.5 pounds of fat. He only carried 159.5 pounds of muscle. Now, the good thing about Tyron is that, you know, he was able to apply everything, you know, to a T. And as you will see, he was rewarded with that. 158 pounds of, he was at, afterwards, he's at 158 pounds at 2 to 3% body fat. Again, roughly around carrying about 4 pounds of fat around that percentage. And so he had 154 pounds in lean body mass. So he lost, again, about a little bit over 15-16 pounds of fat, but he was able to do it at a slow manner, and he really concentrated on his nutritional intake, and he was was on key with everything, you know, and you can see that he did not lose that much muscle mass at all. Okay, but and again, look at the pictures. If you ask yourself, yeah, the Tyron before, he is, you know, 20 pounds plus heavier than Tyron after, but who would you want to look like? Does it really matter at that point? Okay, here's Chris. Obviously, a lot of you guys will know Chris, one of my good friends, and actually the first guy I ever trained for a competition. Chris stands at 5'6". He's 30 years of age. He hurt his back in high school, and his weight gravitated all the way up to about 200 pounds. He was around 16% body fat at around that picture. So he was carrying 32 pounds of fat, and he was only carrying 168 pounds of muscle. Over the years, he's trained very hard, watched his diet, and as you can see, this is when he won the overall at the Texas Shredder, and that's what he looked like. In that picture, he's 165 pounds at around 2 to 3% body fat. Again, roughly carrying around 4 pounds, and he has about 161 pounds of muscle. So the Chris after actually weighs 35 pounds less than the Chris before. But yet, let me ask you this question: who would you want to look like? Who, as you can see, it's not about the weight in this case. Because guess what? He was 200 pounds, but he was at 16% body fat, and he was carrying 28 pounds more fat. He is carrying almost as much muscle in the after as before. He's only lost about 7 pounds of muscle from that transformation. But visually, he looks like he's actually probably put on more muscle. So hopefully you guys are starting to comprehend something right here. And now we're to